Hello, and welcome to today's webinar focusing on NetSuite and PCG customer Body Art Alliance. My name is Mike LeBoux, and I'm an executive sales consultant with PCG. In a moment, we will transition to our discussion and interview with the president and COO of Body Art Alliance, which will focus on BAA's journey with NetSuite. First, let's get to know and better understand the organizations that have been part of the BAA journey. Let's talk a little bit about PCG. PCG, or Providence Consulting Group, is a leading independent NetSuite consulting and optimization company, being recognized by NetSuite as the Manufacturing Alliance Partner of the Year in 2019 and 2020. We focus and specialize in delivering the promises of Industry 4.0, digital transformation, and business sustainability through four key service channels. Assessment and strategy. Velocity from PCG brings predictable, packaged, and affordable implementation options by extending the power of the NetSuite Suite Success methodology. Our corporate and enterprise customers, and finally, and most exciting, PCG's i4OS Smart Factory, which extends NetSuite and functionality to provide robust manufacturing capabilities to drive better production, improve profitability, and a new competitive advantage. Now let's talk a little bit about NetSuite. NetSuite is the world's first company dedicated to delivering business applications over the internet, providing cloud-based financials, ERP, and omnichannel commerce software. With more than 26,000 customers in over 215 countries, NetSuite has added over 4,000 logos in the last 12 months and achieved record growth. And with that, I will transition to PCG Vice President of Oracle and NetSuite Consulting, John Amos, who will lead today's discussion and introduce our guest.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to introduce our guest today, Melissa Gagnier Solis, the President and Chief Operating Officer for Body Art Alliance. Good afternoon, Melissa. Can you give us a brief background on yourself and Body Art Alliance?
Yeah, I can, John. Thanks for inviting me today. I do appreciate it. So, first I'll start about how we got to the Body Art Alliance. So really, I started with Painful Pleasures informally back in 2001. My brother had actually started the company, painfulpleasures.com, and I was working for him on the side, and in the meantime, going to college, getting a degree, doing all that fun stuff, and started to work. And back in 2011, he asked me to join the company full-time, and it didn't take me long to accept the position as Chief Operating Officer of the very small company at the time, 7 employees, a few $1 million in sales, and really worked with him to build out the company over the course of the last decade. And it's been a really fun journey. We were fortunate enough to start the Body Art Alliance and our next venture in 2020. And really what the Body Art Alliance is a partnership between Painful Pleasures, world famous FK Irons, and NeoMetal. And so for those of you who don't know what all of these brands are, we are one of the leading providers of tattoo supplies and piercing supplies and medical supplies and body jewelry within the tattoo and piercing industry. Each of the companies really having their own niche, and us all joining together to form a really strong alliance to provide the best service and products to the tattoo and piercing industry and body jewelry industry.
So just so everybody knows, we want to spend the majority of this half hour talking about Body Art Alliance's and Melissa's journey, NetSuite journey. So can you tell us a little bit about how your journey with NetSuite started, Melissa?
Yeah, sure. So back in 2011, like I said, we started with the company, and the company was a little bit of a mess from an inventory perspective, accounting perspective, small company, not a lot of resources, not a lot of people. And so one of my the first things that I did was look at the organization and look at what it needed holistically, comprehensively from an e-commerce perspective, because Painful Pleasures is an e-com business. And it's a distributor of tattoo supplies, piercing supplies, medical supplies. And so we looked at, okay, what do we need from an e-commerce perspective? And that was my really first thing that I accomplished, is moving us onto a much more robust platform from Xcart to a shopping cart called Magento. And then from there, I worked in the first 3 years really building out a team. And by the time we decided we needed an ERP platform, I think we can all relate to this. We were on QuickBooks. I know a lot of people start on QuickBooks and keep growing with QuickBooks, and it's a good system for smaller companies. I think NetSuite is a robust system for mid-sized companies, smaller companies as well. And so we got to a point back in 2015 where we decided we really need something to streamline our business. We were selling on probably 3 or 4 platforms at the time. Now it's up to 20 platforms across all of our different organizations. But really, even with 3 or 4 platforms, having orders come in, having inventory, live inventory being sunk to all of the different platforms, it just wasn't achievable with the system that we had in place. So we went on a journey in 2015 to find a platform that could grow and scale with us. And so we looked at 3 or 4 different platforms. And ultimately, after 4 months of, I think 3 or 4 months, summer of 2015, really decided that NetSuite was the partner and software we wanted to go with. And really, we went through that journey and started implementation around October of 2015 and went live April of 2016, end of April 2016. And a lot of the decision for going with NetSuite was around really having a platform that we could manage internally, something that was in the cloud. We didn't have to manage a server, something that could handle our operations, our accounting, and really all of the inventory that we have, and also spit out to all of the different websites the inventory in real time, almost real time, 15-minute increments of what we had and what we're carrying. And so that was ultimately why we went with NetSuite. It was just a system that we felt like we could grow with. And then through that implementation, obviously there's lots of ups and downs with implementations, and we went live and there were ups and downs afterwards, but you get through them. And a year in, people loved it and they could see the transformation to the business, and transformation to the business from all different aspects, from accounting to operations to marketing to having that real in-time data that we just didn't have at our fingertips previously. And then if you fast forward a few years, in 2019, we decided we were going to partner with these businesses to form the Body Art Alliance. And so at that time, summer of 2019, we decided, okay, we need to implement One World. One World, as everybody I think knows, or some may or may not know, is part of NetSuite that allows you to have multiple subsidiaries within one NetSuite instance, and then it allows you to share information and reporting across all of those instances. And so with that, in 2019, we implemented One World, knowing that soon we would be partnering with these other businesses. And then in 2020, we formed that partnership officially, and 2 weeks later, we integrated one of the businesses on February 1st of 2020. And then a few months later, we integrated 2 of the other businesses into NetSuite on April 1st, 2020. So it was a very fast implementation. One of them was, or it's actually 2 of them were go live through COVID. And I attribute us to being able to doing those things because we had a really good team. PCG helped us through those 3 implementations in 2020. And it was difficult, but it was well worth all of the hard work that we went through, just because the businesses really were in QuickBooks and it was hard to manage. It was hard to understand and see what it is they were doing on a daily basis, whereas NetSuite's in time visibility and connection with Soligo, which I think we'll talk a little bit about further on in our discussion. But it's been quite a journey from 2015 to 2021, and it's been great to be a part of NetSuite's growth as well. I've been to their NetSuite Suite Worlds a few times, and then I will talk a little bit about this year. This year, we have continued with PCG and implementing advanced manufacturing and advanced distribution in our business units. I didn't talk about each of the business units specifically, but Painful Pleasures is a distribution company. World Famous is a manufacturing tattoo ink company. FK Irons is a manufacturing tattoo machine company, and NeoMetal is a manufacturing company as well, and they manufacture body jewelry. So we have a lot of things that we need to support in NetSuite. We've been able to implement different things within NetSuite to be able to support our different businesses.
Okay, so we talked about a lot there. So you talked a lot about expanding the functionality or adding functionality of NetSuite into including manufacturing, advanced distribution, advanced bills of material, and those types of things. What are some of the things that you've seen the business benefit from utilizing that additional functionality?
So I would say with the advanced distribution and advanced manufacturing, they are so new to our businesses. So we just went live in June with advanced distribution and advanced manufacturing for our FK Irons business, and then in July for our World Famous business. And one of the things that it really pushes you to do is it pushes you to have more streamlined processes. Having a system is one thing, but using the system in the right way with the right tools and making sure that people are accountable and doing the things that they need to do on a daily basis to make sure that you're running an efficient process is obviously key. The system's not going to do that for you. So it sheds light on things that maybe you didn't have visibility into previously from afar, and now you have a lot more visibility into it. It also allows you to see real-time cost of goods. So if you're just using the standard basic NetSuite, you're going to get cost of goods for bills of materials, so of your items that you're manufacturing, but you're not going to be able to incorporate your overhead, your labor on an item by item basis. And so that's one of the things that it is allowing us to see is more visibility into our business and transparency and where we can improve. At the BAA, and I think at a lot of the companies and businesses that are on this call, you're here because you want to improve your business. You want to continuously improve and push your people forward. You do that with really good processes and also really good thought behind how you are continuously improving strategically in your business. And the system and the tools that we have and the resources like NetSuite allow us to be able to do that. I will say back in 2015, it was 2016 when we first implemented NetSuite. It allowed us to, and the same with the businesses for FK and World Famous, when that first transition really allowed that visibility and transparency into the business that you just didn't have before with QuickBooks because of the connections that we utilize a partner called Soligo, but because of the connections and that in-time data, it helped with out of stocks. It helped with ordering stuff, right? Ordering inventory and parts for your business. And it helped with overall streamlining the operations. But definitely this past year there's obviously lots of growing pains. And mind you, we grew 30% last year. We're slated to grow like 37% this year. So it is quite it's a lot to have to do all of these things while you're growing and while you're operating the business. But PCG has been a really great partner in helping us do that, both maintain our ability to operate and then also ability to continuously improve the business.
Well, thank you, Melissa. So what improvements, organizational improvements have you seen since implementing NetSuite?
So as far as the organizational improvements, it actually provides a lot of visibility. Like I talked about visibility before, but I'm somebody who's super curious, and I think that's why I have gotten to where I am today, because I'm curious about what people are doing, how they're doing it, why they're doing it, and how we can improve what they're doing. And so when I look and I start to look around NetSuite, okay, we implemented it this certain way. Are people utilizing the system the way they're supposed to? And is it actually matching what you have on the floor? And so when I think about how it's been able to shed light and accountability and provide that layer of transparency that we didn't have before, it's allowed us to also, I mean, we all deal with human issues, right? It's allowed us to identify really solid players and players who wanted to move through the change, and then players who wanted to be stuck in the old, the old days of not having any visibility or accountability into what you're doing on the floor on a daily basis.
Okay. As you've already started to mention, obviously NetSuite has a large partner solution ecosystem, and so we're just curious of how have you integrated some of those, and what partners have you integrated into your overall NetSuite solution?
So from a partner perspective, we have partnered with a variety over the years. The first that we started with was back in 2016, and that was Soligo. It was a different organization at the time than it is today. They were tough to work with. It was a hard integration to understand. Soligo revolutionized itself when they came out with the integrator.io in 2018. It was something, it was like 2017, 2018. And that was the time that we were starting to come out with lots of e-commerce sites and brands under Painful. Painful is a house of brands. And so one of the things that it allowed us to do was do that in-time inventory, in-time orders, in-time fulfillment to all of the different sites, in-time to marketplaces as well. So we sell in a variety of marketplaces. And so when you look at Soligo, or I think there's others like Jitterbit and such, but Soligo was a great partner. I was able to manage it myself. As we're growing, we're trying to find other people to help us do that. But I think we have, I want to say like 15 to 20 different integrations going with Soligo currently, with inventory, orders, fulfillment, billing in and out of NetSuite and our e-commerce solutions. We're transitioning everything over to Shopify. So that has, right now we have Magento Shopify, we have an ADP integration, and we're looking at a SQL database integration as well, as we're trying to push up a initiative for Power BI, and again, that real in-time intelligence. And so that's one of them that was started back in 2016 and continues through to today. We have really good partners and a really good relationship with them. There's Avatax, which, as everybody knows, Wayfair back in 2018 made things a little bit more complicated for all of us, and we all of a sudden had to start collecting sales tax. I think we're up to 40 states now. And so Avatax is on all our e-commerce platforms and in our NetSuite platform, and allows us to collect the sales tax, and then they handle all of the licenses and remittances back to the different states. So that has been a really, really great partner as well. Obviously, implementations are hard and there's ups and downs, but that was a really good one. Ozlink, right now we're using a partner called Ozlink. They're owned by Descartes, and that is a company that allows you to, so order comes over from our shopping cart, goes into NetSuite, and then from NetSuite, it goes through something called Ozlink. That order information pushes down into either FedEx, UPS, we use all of the partners, DHL, Global, and then we also use USPS. So it pushes down into one of the platforms and then spits out the shipping information. That information goes back up to NetSuite and spits it over back to the websites. And RF Smart, now we just implemented that. That's allowed us to go into the advanced distribution manufacturing. I stopped by the Painful Pleasures warehouse floor last week and was talking to Kelly. They just went live, and she was loving it because now her order fillers are not walking around with a bunch of pick tickets. They're walking around with pick tickets, but also a digital scanner. So they're doing in-time fulfillment on scanning on their scan guns, whereas before it was a 3-step process to get something fulfilled. Now it's a 1-step process to get something fulfilled. And then I talked a little bit about Power BI and really getting our data into a system so that we can report on it in a different way than NetSuite allows. NetSuite has some good KPIs and reporting, but some of the way the tables are formed within NetSuite doesn't allow you to do some of the fun things that we want to do with the business now.
Well, thank you, Melissa. Can you talk a little bit more about your partnership with PCG and how it's evolved over the last, I guess, 2 years?
Yeah, it's crazy to think that we met in, I think it was September of 2019. Yeah, so, PCG, I first met with Mike. I remember I was standing in an airport in Seattle with going to visit NeoMetal, and I was looking for a partner. So I had interviewed a couple of different partners, and I connected with Mike and appreciated our conversation, and then started talking to John and I think to a few other people, did a bunch of reference checks, and really just they've been a good partner from the beginning. I like their approach. They really worked to learn the business, and they've really helped us integrate the different businesses into NetSuite. We could not have done it without them, without a really good partner that was there pushing alongside of me in the very beginning. It was, these businesses were not super sophisticated, and they were on QuickBooks, and so getting the data out and getting the data in, I mean, PCG helped us with all of that. They helped us through the remote go live in April of 2020, which was super challenging. You talk about going live on a ERP platform. Going live on an ERP platform during COVID and doing two at the same time was a really challenging, I would say 6 weeks. It was every day, long hours, and lots of coaching, lots of teaching, lots of Teams meetings. And, over time, it's been a really good partner. They're supporting us from a help desk perspective now as well. They've been able to step in when we just don't have enough bandwidth on our end to be able to support our users to do the things they want to do, build the reports and save searches, and add additional functionality. So overall, and then this past year, over the last really 6 months, actually 8 months because it's August, but last 8 months going live with the advanced distribution, advanced manufacturing, we really couldn't have done it without them, and the partnership with our senior project manager at the BAA, who's been pushing these projects forward. So it's been a really good partnership, and it's really evolved really positively over time.
So, Melissa, what's next for BAA or Body Art Alliance?
That is a good question. I think it's the question that everybody wants to answer about their business. So we have been very fortunate throughout the past decade since I've been at Painful Pleasures and now the Body Art Alliance. The tattoo and piercing industry is booming. You can look around and you can just see people walking down the street with tattoos, with body piercings, and we recognized that early on as I started, and we recognized that we need the capability to scale and grow. We started with 7 employees back in 2011. Now we're at 370, and we continue to grow, as I mentioned before, through COVID, through 2021, and it's really exciting. And so what we're really working to do, and what I'm working to do from an operational perspective, is ensure that each of our facilities and each of our teams has the right system in place, the right people in place, and the right mindset in place to be able to really be able to confront that growth and be able to meet the demand of our growing customer base, and really ultimately the base of people who want to get tattoos and piercings and want to express themselves in the body art world.
Well, thank you, Melissa. We have about 5 minutes left. I think we have a few questions that came in while we were doing this webinar. And so the first question, Melissa, is, how did you know that you were ready for a new ERP system when you started?
So, the reason that I knew that we were ready for an ERP system was just the inability to run our business in a way that we could meet our customers' demand and meet them in a way that they expected. So not being out of stock and not having that in-time visibility into what's going to sell next, and not being able to forecast and not being able to demand plan. And so we knew that with QuickBooks, we couldn't do those things with all of the sales channels that we were selling on. So that's really why and how we decided back in 2015 that we were ready. And then we also finally had a team that we felt like could take that ERP system that we had and do something with it, operate with it, and be successful.
Okay. Do you have any advice for companies that are looking at or considering changing their system?
The main advice that I would give you is around this change management. I talked a little bit about it when I was talking throughout the presentation. I think one of the biggest lessons that I learned throughout my journey in these ERP implementations and e-commerce implementations and partnerships with different businesses and trying to integrate the different businesses is the people aspect is the hardest aspect. The technology is there. NetSuite's a great system. It can scale and grow with what you need, but being able to manage people's expectations, involving them in the process, ensuring that they are owning the processes that we're implementing or that you're implementing it's invaluable, because if they're a part of the process and you're not throwing something at them, then they're feeling like it's theirs, and they're going to be more on board to that change, and they're going to be more on board to saying, okay, I understand why we're doing this, how we're doing this, and I'm excited about, improving. I'm excited about the concept of continuous improvement.
Yeah, so we have another question, Melissa, and it is, which other platforms did you evaluate and why did you choose NetSuite?
Sure. So I looked at SAP Business One. That's the mid-market at the time, 2016. That was the mid-market solution. And the reason why we didn't go with that one is they did a demo and it was really clunky. And so you hear a lot of great things about SAP, and it's probably a great solution for enterprise businesses that are really big. At the time, we had 33 employees, and even their mid-market solution, I wanted something that I knew that I could manage, and then I could have somebody else manage. And SAP Business One seemed really clunky, and it didn't seem super customizable. It seemed difficult to customize, and I wanted something that, and then also there was a server involved, and I like the cloud. I've grown up on the cloud. I think the cloud's awesome, and I really like not having to manage servers. And so that's the reason really that we didn't go with SAP Business One. And then Microsoft Dynamics was the other one that we evaluated. And honestly, I can't remember too much in depth why I chose NetSuite over that one, but it's probably for the same reasons as SAP Business One. I just thought NetSuite was a lot more streamlined. I thought it was an up-and-coming company. I mean, it's been around for a while, but that whole cloud thing is just was not something that other ERP systems were doing in 2015. So.
Okay. And last but not least, the last question we have is, knowing what you know today, would you have done anything differently?
Yeah, probably a few things. With that first implementation, there were a lot of ups and downs throughout the process. It just goes back to change management. I've learned a lot over the past 5 years about people, about working with people, and about being inclusive and about being collaborative. And so my main feedback is be super inclusive and collaborative and push through, obviously, when you need to push through, but incorporate and have people be a part of the process rather than pushing the process on people. So think that's the biggest thing that I would have done differently with the first implementation, the second, third, fourth, fifth. We've learned a lot, and those are things that we definitely did differently in the second, in the next go round.
All right. Well, thank you, Melissa. And Melissa, thank you for your time today.